I'll be writing just one moment. Finishing a few things. So how are you guys doing? Ah, nice to hear that, Krishna. Doing good, doing good. So I hope you guys liked it this month. Already gonna be real with you guys. I'm probably not doing this next month of June. I will have a couple of things going on in my life that would not give me much time to dedicate to live streams. So we're probably gonna take a break in the month of June, but I hope to have more time for July. But I'll keep you guys posted, of course. Thanks, Krishna. Yeah, I've been a little bit tired because I do have a full-time job, so I'm trying to conciliate both things, and there's some extra stuff going on in my life right now, so uh, there's no time at all. It's pretty much this. So, but I really enjoy doing the live streams, guys. Don't take me wrong. This is really a highlight of my day. I really like doing this. Sometimes life gets in the way. Thanks so much for the comprehension, guys. I really appreciate that. Um, but I know that you're still gonna be here on Discord, on Reddit, and if I'm not doing live streams, I'm probably gonna have a little more asynchronous time to respond stuff there because that's really not been happening much. So yeah, because live streams takes a little bit more of a dedicated time. I cannot really multitask when I'm live streaming, of course. But there's still a lot that I want to put into the original source of the material, the source material. And you guys have been so great, giving so many suggestions and helping me out of little things that could be improved in each lesson. So I didn't have time to really put that into the actual source material. So I want to do that as well, but try to get a little more of time doing that. But yeah, you guys have been so great with me. I would like to thank, obviously, Alex was the last one that just sent a pull request, and that was awesome. I mean, if you guys have um any suggestion, anything that you could add to the source material directly, I mean, it's the more the better. I mean, I'm only one person, and I know there's a lot of things there that are not really up to date. Uh, Little bits and pieces like there was a person that pointed out that the PPA package that we were using the lesson was not really working anymore because that is a thing that change. So okay, let me get another PPA, let me get another package, and it's something that I cannot really check month by month, but if you guys point it out for me, it's easier to correct stuff. So uh, again, this is not a project that is mine, it's ours. Okay, it's mine and from everybody in the community. So I'm not the highest expert of Linux. I know I'm not, and I'm not ashamed of that. I know that so many people that know a lot more Linux than me here on Discord and in Reddit, and watching me on YouTube, on the Twitch. I know you guys are there. I'm just waiting for you to pick up, and I really appreciate when you speak up. So Eradicator is one of them. I probably is Mateus here on the live stream. I don't know. Krishna is also another one, but I know Mateus is someone that is always here, and I really appreciate his support as well, and I appreciate all your support, really, and it's been really great. It's one of my joys. Um, I just wanted to take a couple of minutes and really show my appreciation because you guys are awesome. And if I can help in any way with the time I have, I'm here for you guys. So, with that out of the way, let me just get a little potato server. I'm going to share my screen. We are going to go through days 15 that I left off last week and through day 20, but I'm not going to do that in order because I just like the chaos, I believe. No, there is some logic to that. Okay, I'm trying to get similar topics kind of working together, and let me know if that gets confusing in any way. It's sometimes I like to experiment the order of the lessons because I know that one lesson leads you with information to understand the next one, and that is the actual goal of the lessons, being so short and sweet and compact and just 20 days, and it is exactly for that. You have the basics covered in it is relatively short amount of time, but you got the you covered all the basics to really administrate your Linux server. That's the idea, right? So I'm going to start actually with some log rotation instead of going to days 15 already, the one that we left off. I am going to day 18, but we're going to get back to that. Okay, I'm just going to jump around the last few lessons so we get that the big picture of everything is just connected, right? We're talking in topics, but in the end of the day is just one server and how you want to do stuff there. Okay, so getting back to our server, I want to talk a little bit about log rotation. And if we remember, we already installed our Apache. We transformed this Linux server in actually a web server. So we're serving web pages. Although my web page just says it works, but it's there. There is a web page being served. And all of the activity that is related to Apache is going to be stored in logs, right? So we're going to see that on var log Apache 2. And these are the logs that we have available. We have the access log that shows us the access to the server, and those kind of access is actually just someone accessing my IP address for the server on their web browser. So what I'm seeing here are actually get and post requests from web browsers. That's basically that. And we have error logs. That is just reserved for errors, but we're not going to look at that today. I wanted to first look at this the access log, and you probably noticed already, we don't have just one file for those logs. And I one of the things that is important that you leave your server running for a while. I mean, we created our web server. We installed Apache on day 7. That was a couple of weeks ago. So we have enough traffic to populate the logs actually. So we have the access log that should be for the last few logs for access, and then we have access log 1, and we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 until 14. And I mean, why is that? Why is it not just one big file, right? Even if there's not much of of traffic, we're still gonna have those 14 files related to access log here. And why is that, right? So we're going to really clarify that idea, why we have so many and where does this come from. Okay, so we're going to see that 14, we already have a couple weeks of Apache running. That seems that we have a pattern of rotating these logs. And that is because we have on our cron daily, you remember cron? I guess you guys remember cron. We talked about this last week. Chrome, we have the actual Chrome tab that we just put stuff that is new that we want to manually add as one of our timers. This is a scheduled job that we're going to run in a regular fashion. And we learned also that we have daily, weekly, monthly, hourly things that are scheduled, because our Chrome tab, and I'm going to, yeah, etc Chrome tab. Remember that we have these guys that we could add more stuff here, and we also have that we have that being pulled from the Chrome tab, the Chrome D, that is our service that is going to be running, right? This is actually a folder, and you remember when we were talking about SSH especially, that in our configuration we're going to always have that one file of configuration, and we have specific stuff that are going to be on different on a folder for that service, right? So the Chrome D is going to have stuff in there, but we also have, especially this is particular for Chrome, we have, for example, daily. And one of the things that run daily in Linux is log rotate. This is another program, right? This is another little tool, and if we should take a look at that. This is just kind of a script. We have information of what's going to be running, but this is I just wanted to show this to give a real idea of where this is coming from. So we have a configuration file in etc/logrotate.conf, and this program is actually user sbin logrotate. So if we take a look at the manual for logrotate, gotta see that we have a few options that we can use for the actual logrotate program later. But let's take a look at the actual configuration file, etc/logrotate.conf. So if you take a look at that, you see that I'm not even using Vim. I'm not going to really change anything on this. I just wanted to show what is configured inside. And obviously you can use man log rotate to see the details. But we have global options for the rotation of our logs across the system. It seems that we have our log files are rotated weekly. This is a global configuration. Those are global options, okay? And we keep 4 weeks worth of backlogs, and we create a new empty log file after rotating the old ones. These are the most specific things that I want to show, but one thing extra that I wanted to see is that packets drop log rotation information into this directory. So we take a look at that directory. Okay, what we have inside etc logrotate.d, the actual folder for our service log rotate. We have Apache 2 there. So if we take a look at Apache 2, this is a file. So let's take a look at that. Let's see how it's configured. This is going to send the logs as something log in var log Apache 2, like we saw at the beginning. And instead of rotating the logs weekly, we're rotating daily. We have 14 days worth of logs. So that already matches with what we see on that folder. We saw 14 files for access log, right? And what else? We compress. Okay, so we saw as well, and I'm going to take just let's get it back. And we're going to see that we have 14 files. Actually have one that is current. This will be our log 0, the one that is running right now, and the ones that are stored. So we have 14, and you see that after log 1, everything else have a GZ at the end of it. What is a GZ? This is actually an extension that indicates this file was compressed using gzip. Okay, so we're going to get back to the compression part real quick, but we already have that information on compression is going through here. What else do we have? That we have, okay, daily 14, and we're compress. Yeah, and that's pretty much it, right? So so we can look again at that, our little folder for Apache 2, and we can see that we have no. Let's get that. I want to see the latest access log. So this is what is going on right now. So it's supposed to be 15:20? Is that our time? Yeah, 15:25. This is in UTC. I didn't really change the time zone for my region. I just let it at UTC. So it was about 5 minutes ago from today. So it's pretty current, right? And people really want to do stuff, right? Really don't. All right. Okay. But yeah, this is just now, but I can force the rotating of the logs. What I wanted to show you guys, let me just get this. Get it. So what we're seeing here for the 14 logs, what we saw was, okay, we got a log that is for now, that will be our log file 0 in a sense. When we rotate that, which means tomorrow, that information that was for log 0 or our current log is going to be actually log 1. And we have our current for the current day. And that goes on and on until we reach that limit that we should keep 14 days for Apache, 14 days worth of logs, and whatever happens after that, it's just doesn't matter. I'm not going to keep more than that. This is something that is important, especially if you work with support. If you want to see a problem happening in the system, you're going to refer to the logs, obviously. If you're going to refer to the logs of the application, or it could be for the logs of the actual system in itself. But I work with that all the time, so I have to look at logs to understand what is the problem the client is facing. And if there's too much information being um, stored in the logs are happening to rotate too fast. I mean, I'm going to fill up the limits of something. Or I want to know what happened last month, but I only have 14 days worth of logs. I'm not gonna see that. So this is something to consider: how the log files are being constructed in your system, and what do you expect to see. If you want to keep more information, obviously that there is a way to keep it on the system in itself. But if you go a little too much further than that, using an external program to actually put that log information into a database that you can refer and compare historical data is probably the best idea. I mean, you can use there's so many and there's Datadog, Grafana, all that. You can store what you see in the logs in the system. You can store that in an actual database that is on a different location. So if your system crashes, you have the moment that crashed. Okay, so that is the idea. But you have to understand that if you don't have that external resource, and you're not going to have that if it's not really a critical environment, or if you don't have the budget to to put that in place, because you're going to have to run that other program in a server. Okay, you're going to maintain a database, so this is a different ball game. But for things that are immediate concern, you have the log files here, and the rotation is important to understand how much in the historical data can I go, right? So that's what I wanted to show you guys. Just take here quick, and getting back to our information here. Remember that we just took a look of what log rotate as servers could do. It's going to be doing that whatever you want. It's something that is already pre-configured. You can change that, of course. But one thing that we can do, like I want to do some tests, and to do that test, I want a different log file. I want to clear my log so I can see that. You can clear the logs. It's not really recommended, but one thing that you can do is force, so you can separate the actual test, right? So we just saw the latest that was on 1520, the connection to our server. If you guys want to help me with the test, you can connect to this IP address. And one thing that I will do is to let's take that again. I'm going to get the log rotate for Apache. I just want to do that with Apache, and I'm going to force the rotation. So I can log rotate, what is the path for Apache log rotation? Rotate for Apache was etc log rotate.d Apache, right? And I'm going to force that. Okay, I'm forced. Oh yes, because this is supposed to be done with sudo. Okay. Let's take a look then. Again, to our latest log. It's clear now. So that little thing that we saw went to log rotate 1. Yeah, it's a whew, okay. Let's get back to this guy. Let's see if you guys can give me a little hand. Am I on potato? Yeah, this is potato. Okay, we got stuff going. Yeah. So you see, I changed. I forced my rotation of the logs. That was manually forced. So the last thing that I got, and I put it on the log access log 1 was this. And now I'm seeing the most latest one. So if I was doing some kind of test, I could rotate the logs to just work with one file and not really have to filter or anything. I just want the raw information. There's one way to do it. I'm sure there's better ways to do it. Okay, this is just an example. You're not going to really mess with the actual service of log rotate that much. In my experience, that really doesn't happen. But it's something that you have to be aware, especially when you are troubleshooting something and you want historical data on your logs. And okay, so log rotation should be all good. So okay, so what I wanted to show after that, we just saw, get this. Okay, this information here, because we compress stuff, but how do we compress that stuff? This is using GZ. That is actually, if we take a look at compress, we can have the manual for compress. No. Well, GZ is for gzip, okay, but let me get this TLDR gzip. Yeah, you see, we're going to have the file extension is going to be gz. So what happens is it compress that file so it doesn't get too big. I mean, it's just, you're just not wasting disk space. That's pretty much it. Why you compress files, you're just trying to not occupy that much space in your disk. And you can see, let me just get this back. Let me see the actual. So the first one, we don't have anything because we just rotated the logs, but the one that was right after that, and not compressed, that was access log 1, is 13K. And the ones that are compressed, you can see they are almost all around 2 to 3K. Doesn't get that much higher than that. And this is a big difference, right? It's a high compression, but we're just talking about text here. We're not really working with binaries or anything. But one thing that we can take a look here on gzip is the options for compression, right? We can decompress, we can compress and keep the actual original file. We just take the original file and make a copy compressed here for keep. What else? We can change some suffix. We can make a test instead of just check the compressed file integrity instead of just compress and hope it's all okay. Okay, and this is the thing that I wanted to point out. Here we have some compression speeds. Okay, you can, when you're working with a compressing algorithm and compressing tool like gzip, you're gonna have options on how much do you want to compress. And remember, as the best compression is not the fastest compression most of the time. So you can have a fast or 1, or you can have the best or 9. And the default compression level for example, like what log rotate is going to use is going to be the default compression level that is 6. It's like in the middle. It's not going to take too much, and it's not going to be as low as a best compression. Okay, so we got the best of both worlds when you use a default compression. This is going to happen for most of the compression tools that we have available. Here we're using gzip, or I know that is gzip because of the extension. And remember that extensions, the name of the files, doesn't really matter in terms of what is going to be executed and how this is going to work for the machine. The extensions are there to help humans understand what's going on. Okay, so it doesn't really have to have this extension here, but it is file. I believe it's a file. Let me do access log to gz. This type or file. Never remember. Here I have the information of what kind of file is this. So var log apache 2 access log to gz is a gzip compressed data. Okay, so I could take, let's take a copy of that. So sudo cp var log apache to access log to gz. I'm going to send that to my home. And here it is. And I do not have permissions to do anything on that, so I'm going to change it. Remember about the permissions and ownership. So I'm going to actually change owner. I'm going to do that for Livia on access log. Yes, do it right, Livia. Change owner. So okay, now it's mine. I can do whatever I please. So I want to decompress that just to see. Okay, so let's how can we decompress? I believe it's .d with gzip. Is it? Yeah, decompress. -d gzip decompress our access log. And now we have an actual regular file. So if we take a look here, you see we have like it was 3K, okay, and now we decompress that, it's back to 22K. This is one thing. Okay, so what we can do with that, since we already checked it out, we can compress that again, and I'm going to keep the original file because I want to do more tests with that. So if we do a gzip keep, or just k, it's going to work as the same. For access log, and I take a look, we have access log 2, that was 22K, and we have access log 2 gzip, that is 3.1K. Okay, you see that it puts the actual extension at the end. I can do without it, but when we're working with the compression tools, most of them are going to do that by default. Okay, but what other compression tools do we have? One that we just did. You remember that we just used a compress keep, and I didn't really give much information about the compression level, because the full level is 6. It's going to use 6. So if I want to still use gzip, but I want the best compression for that. Okay, we can do that. So we're going to use gzip -9 because I want the best, and I want to keep. I don't know, this is not really necessary. This is going to create and put it on another file, right? And yeah, I'm specifying the output, but yeah, we can do that, right? I mean, what's the access log? I'm going to do that as access log to best. I'm going to call it best. Ah, one thing that I just forgot to do. Yeah. Okay, we got our, well, it doesn't really have to change. It just compressed this the same. But here we're using just the only gzip, but there are other compression tools, and we can search for them. Compress. We use a gzip, that is right here. Compress and expand files. We can use I want to show this guy, the XZ. I like it very much. XZ is a good one. So let's try to use XZ. What is the parameters for XZ? We can just compress and keep, and we can use a best compression, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's just keep and use the default compression for access log 2, and that's just that. So now we have access log 2, that was 22K. We have access log 2 gzip, that was default compression for gzip, that was 3.1K, and we have access log 2 xz, that in default compression was 2.8K. Okay, it's a little bit better, right? Why am I doing this in the first place? This is I wanted to show that compression is one thing that we can do across the system. We have several use cases for that. We just saw that on the log rotation, right? But you can use that for your own logs if you have something that is too big. I mean, I have that on my backup folder. Actually, I have a video that was MKV, and I just compressed it with XZ, and it was fine. This was a big file, and in the end, actually, I got to 2.8 gigabytes. So good stuff. It was really a long file. But I have a few other files here to test that as well. But this is one thing that I wanted to show first. Okay, you can compress files on its own. But there is one thing that you can do as well. And I'm going to do that inside my backup folder. I think I have copied previously Apache. That same folder I copied here. So, but I wanted to have that and send out to another place, whatever. How can I do that? And archive this folder to another location, or I can just archive it here in my my disk, whatever. But usually we get to see that when we're actually doing some kind of backups, and we want to have your little folder as one file. We already are familiar with this concept when we create a zip file and we have folders in it, and that's why we use tar as our archiving. This actually, tar is a name for tape archiving. This is from the era of the tapes. You know what I'm talking about, right? So yeah, this tar is an archiving utility. We usually combine this with a compression method. That's why I was talking about gzip. And I talked xz as well, but gzip and bzip2 are two compression methods very popular to use in combination with tar. But the idea of tar, you can archive just one file, but I don't see much of a use for that. We usually do that when we have several files and we want everything on one place. So there's even a little joke around that you're never going to remember all of the parameters for a tar file, just tar command line, just in the first on the top of your head. Because I mean, you're going to do that sporadically. It's not going to be something that you're going to be doing all the time, and it doesn't really matter. One thing that matters, and this is something that you have to remember always: F for file should be always the last parameter that you pass. I mean, you can use, okay, C for create, Z to compress in gzip, V for verbose, A for archive, suffix, whatever, T for checking the contents. The last one is always going to be F, because it's going to, okay, the last thing is F, the file then is this file name. So I am going to actually archive, just archive. I'm not going to compress, and I'm going to show the differences. Oops, much. Okay, Apache in itself is 100K. Okay, I'm going to tar. I'm going to create a tar file. I'm going to just do that on verbose, and I want a directory there, so I can use that with directory. Okay, there's another way. Just check on man tar, and I'm going to check for directory. Persephone link. Nope. Here. The type. Okay. We have F, the regular file. We can create a directory. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to use that. Onion, device blocking. There's so many options. Here with A and auto compress, instead of okay, I want to compress, because this is the combination. Tar is so special in that way that you can just, okay, I want this and I want it compressed, but I don't want to choose. Uh, I want to choose, but I don't want to remember which type is going to be on the parameters. I'm just know the actual extension. Okay, so I'm going to do that for you. All right, so determines the compression by the suffix or the extension that you put on your file name, and that's fine. And here are the other compressions that we can use. The compression options. We can use bzip2 with lowercase j. You can use xz with uppercase j. You can use Z for gzip, that we already know. You can use capital Z or Z for compress. These are another compression method. ZSD, ZSDD. We have a few options here that are very interesting, but you're going to see a lot of gzip. So just regular Z is going to be fine. But we're not going to compress yet. I'm going to just create verbose, a file that calls my Apache, and tar. And I want the directory to be this Apache 2 here. How are they refusing to create an empty archive? How was it empty? What did I do wrong? Okay, let's see tar usage. I told it was not the first. Okay, all right. Okay. Yeah, I didn't really need it all that much. Let's just put the path. Hey, Mateos, you're there. Always here to rescue me. Thanks for joining, man. So we got it out. We created our Apache tar and we put the folder Apache 2 that we just copied with all its contents. All right. So if we take a look again at our guys here, you remember that we are supposed to have 100K inside this file. And it's okay. It's already good. We can get more out of it. Let's take a look. File my Apache. Yeah, it's at POSIX star archive. We can create something that is compressed with that. And I'm going to do a gzip. So I'm going to create with a Z. So we have the difference here, just an archiving, just a tar. We have 70K. And compressed it, we got down to 29K. Not bad, right? What is the difference of using tar with or without compression? The compression that is going to be used with tar is going to be always the default compression level for those compression methods. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Mine does not too. Doesn't support directory. It's just C or directory for specifying directory before the compression. Yeah. Mine did the same thing. Thanks for chiming in, Mateus. Always appreciate your input. But what I wanted to talk in the matters of, I could just compress everything inside that folder and then archive, or can just archive and yeah. Why does it really use equal, right? But yeah, so I could just compress and then archive, or can just archive and then compress. And what is the difference? If you want to compress the files inside your directory, or the files that you're going to put on your tar file, it doesn't have to be a directory. You can just pull stuff in. Uh, you can compress that before you archive, or you can just compress archiving it. And the main difference is that tar uses the compression methods on their default compression level. Whereas if you are going to do that individually, you can set up the actual level of compression. If this is only important if you really want to take the last space possible and want to be as compressed as much as possible, and then that will really matter. But otherwise, you can use the default compression method and just switch between using. I mean, we can use that instead of using gzip. Let's try xz with a capital J, and of course I did it wrong. You see the problem? I didn't change the actual file name. So my Apache RGZ is saying that is X compressed data. XZ compressed data. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So instead of using that, I can use, for example, just all right. I don't know. I don't know which one should be here. So I'm using auto compress. Determine what you're doing. Okay, now we have it. XZ. And it's a little bit more compressed, a little bit, because we already have a lot of compressed files inside that folder, so it doesn't really it's not going to really change much. But we got at least 1K down. It was 28, it's now 27. And um, let's see if there's anything else I should get. Yeah, and it's pretty much it. Um, the main difference using tar with compression is going to be faster. It's just one single operation. You don't have to go to the files that you want to compress directly to choose a compression method for that. It's going to be a little bit more cumbersome, but it's something that is only required if you really need to. Uh, you have space concerns, your disk space concerns, and you need to compress as much as possible. Then you probably want to do that before you archive those files. But if that's not really the thing, um, you can just do it in one single operation. It's going to be fast and fine. And when you're going to decompress, it's going to be as fine because you don't have to really go over and okay, reverse all the operations I did before. So it's going to be a little bit better. The only again, the reason to not doing tar compression as we're just did here is that you need maximum compression, and you want to have total control uh, of the compression level of those files. Then it's not going to happen. You cannot change the compression level during the tar. You have to do that separately with just the uh, compression utility. Okay, and that's pretty much it. If you want to, actually, let's move that file, the exe, my Apache, no, my Apache XZ, and I'm going to send that to my home folder. So taking a look at that, we have my Apache tar here, and I want to actually decompress that. How do we do that? So tldr tar decompress and expand this, explode the tar file, so we can extract a compressed archive file. We can use X, V for verbose, and we have to give the actual file name. Okay, so tar X V F, the file name is my Apache, and that's it. Let's see. Yeah, it created my directory here. So you're going to use that operation in a minute, okay? Why I wanted to, because this is day 19, I'm just 19 or 18, or 17, something, 16. It's another day. You're going to use that in a minute. And this is interesting how we can associate compressing files and archiving, or just um, having that the entire folder into something that you can move as a file. Instead of moving a folder with several files, you can just have one file, and this is going to have the actual information that you want to send out, right? But we're going to get back to this pretty very soon. Thanks, Taupies. Appreciate your being here. So, okay, we got archiving out of the way. One little thing I wanted to talk before we move on are the symlinks, or our little shortcuts in our system. Um, this is for day 19. We talk about a little how you can actually refer to different files in your system without having to go over to another place, right? So I'm going to create something here. Um, so I wanted. Uh, let me get this. Before I do anything, I have to talk a little bit about the concepts of inodes. Okay. Um, the files are going to have obviously we have the file name, we have the directory they're on, what is the path, but the actual data we have, this is the concepts of inodes are like metadata for those files. I mean, we have a specific ID for that, and we're going to have what is the ownership, what is the what are the permissions and all that, and that is going to be referencing to an actual data block. The data block is not going to be moved. What we're removing are actually the references inside the system. Okay, so let me just take this out of here. This. So, for example, we have a bunch of files here that we got from um, that we're operating in our system. Okay, if I want more information about them, we're using ls with a list, right? So the things that we already are accustomed to this. We see the ownerships, we see the permissions, we see the file size, we see the last time they were updated. I'm going to pick my file. Unless my file. Let me see it again. Are the permissions of a symlink in the drawing specify 777? I didn't use 777 here. Unless the file is 777, okay. But we're going to get through that, okay? The specifics. So I want more information about this file, my file. I can use just lsli, and I'm going to get this little guy. What is this? TLDR ls. Let's see if it's happening here. No, it does not. And -i. No. It's for inode. I want to print the index number or the actual inode ID of that file. So let's get back. This is the raw information, the one that we're accustomed to. This is the information for the inode. You see that we just added something here. But if I want more information on that file, I can just use stat my file. And here we got, this is a regular file. We have how many blocks, what is the size, and here the inode is showing up again. We have the access, so we have the permissions and the ownership, UID, GID, and the last access, the last modify date, the last change, and when was this created, the birth of the file. So it's kind of statistics for each file. Okay, kind of a metadata. So if we want more information on what stat can do, we just use a stat and that, but we can kind of filter the results for that. But it is not really something that I use a lot. Not really that important for the things that we're going to do right now. Okay. Yeah. All right. So this is one guy, but let's see one thing. I wanted to actually create in KDear. I want to create a very, 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 very long path for that file. So I want something that is I'm copying this from you, Mateus. I remember what we did the last live stream we did for this. I'm going to use some very long path required by some application config. Okay, so we got something like this. So if we did a tree for some very long path required by application, this is something that it goes on. Okay, you could have something like this, but I wanted to I'm gonna move my file there. Okay, my file is going for some very long path required by some application config. I'm saying that there. Okay, my file is here now. And I wanted to reference that, but I'm on my working directory. I'm doing most of my work here, right? Or this is a completely different point in my system, and I don't want to go every time go there or pop doing that stack stuff or going back and forth between folders. I want something that is going to be easier to work with. So instead of doing that, I can just create an actual link. This ln is for link. So let me just TLDR. I'm going to create a link to a file, and I'm going to create a symbolic link that file. So I'm gonna get that target, and I'm going to create a file, for example, here in my home folder. Okay, so ln-s, and I'm going for some very long path required by some application, my file, and I want to create here in home Livia to create that file, for example. So now I have that file here. Okay. And what does that mean with that file? Here we go. Your 777, Mateus. Because this is not the file, this is a reference to the file. And here we got, this is referencing that long path. Okay, so we're gonna do a stat for that file. We're gonna see that that file is actually a symbolic link. And is referencing what? The inode of my file. Remember, what was that? Stat. This is the inode. And, yes, I just forgot to put one thing here. This is our guy. This is a regular file. This is that file. That doesn't really have any content, right? It's just a reference. So the size is minimal. There's many blocks. And it does have a different inode, not the same inode. But if we get specifically, and I can do that with TLDR stats, I want to see what. No, it's not going to be here. Stats. I want to. What was the that I was using? That's just forgot the comment. Oh yeah. Editors. Remember. Da-da-da. What was that again? Ugh. The format, the reference, follow links. Ah, yes. -l follow link. So we got our actual my file and this guy -l. That file. You see now. Instead of I'm just following the link instead of getting the stats for the shortcut or the same link, the symbolic link. I'm following the link and go straight to where this same link is pointing to. So we have the same amount of blocks, we have the same inode. So this is the guy. The same link is going to have a different inode, a different reference in the system, but the main difference is that I'm going to be referencing mostly something that is actually with content. Okay, this is this concept is not new. If you use Windows for any amount of time, you already got some shortcuts in your desktop, for example. This is not the actual file that is there. It's just a shortcut, a reference, a little nod to something that is somewhere else in your system. You're just putting a way to get to that path faster. And that's what we just did here. We just put a path to that really long path required by some application, config, blah, blah, my file. We just transformed that into my home directory, that file. And that was it. So, but we do have a problem with that. Let's move back that my file from some very long blah, blah, blah. Let's move that to actually the backup folder. Okay. So if we take a look again, and I'm actually I have to do that differently. I'm going to use backup folder, my file. So blocks are the same. We have the same inode. Just move it in. We didn't do much. We just move it to a different folder. Okay. And let's take a look again at that file without following the link first for now. And it is still referencing that other path that we used before. So, what is happening? You see that even changed colors. It was just bright blue, so pretty, and now it's a suspicious red. If I tried, for example, to open that file, I know it's text. If I try to, it's going to create a new file because it doesn't exist. I'm referencing to somewhere that is really doesn't exist. That would happen if I delete the file, the target file, if I move it, the target file. I'm referencing a path, but if that changes, I'm not going to see it. So, if I'm going to move the file, this doesn't happen that much, but if you're going to move the file, or if you're going to have changes in the way that is going to be renamed, anything is going to be changed in that target file, and this works just for files, okay? The best way maybe is to use a hard file. So we can create a new link. Remember, TLDR ln for link. We created a symbolic link because we use it -s. But if we don't put s as a symbolic link, we're going to create a hard link to a file. We could just overwrite and correct that misunderstanding. But if that happens a lot, you don't have the control of the amount of times this is going to happen, maybe a hard link may be the best way. So we're going to create a hard link. My target is backup folder, my file, and I'm going to create here other file, or we create that file, yeah, other file, and create it in here on my here, other file, here on my home directory. Okay, so if we take a look at other file, it just seems that I just created a regular file, nothing really different, right? If I look at backup folder, my file, right? It's like it's the same, but let's use the stat to really confirm that. So we have backup folder, my file. This is again a regular file. We have this guy as the inode. This is the size. This is the permissions and the ownership. Seems all okay, right? Reddit says this has 2 links, but all right. And I want to take a look at the stats for my other file, and it's a regular file. Okay, we have the permissions and the ownership, and notice that we have the same inode. I didn't follow the link here. I just created a hard link. So if I take a look, they have the same size. They have the same ownership and the same permissions. Okay, that's fine. But the main thing, I just created the file and automatically just have the size. It's the same file. It's referencing the same point in the disk, the same point of data. Okay, so getting that that little image back, we have this guy, right? That is a reference to the data block, but this is the actual file that we're dealing with, and we're going to change things like we can change the access, we can change permissions, we can change in different paths, we can change the name, we can change ownership, we can change a lot of things here. When we talk about, we have a file that is that, this is the metadata. When you create a hard link, instead of creating a file that references that other file, we're just creating another way to get to the same file. It could be a little confusing at first, but you see that we don't have a different file. It's like it's the same file. They have two points of entry to the same metadata, to the same data. And although this is just a reference, this symbolic link is just a file referencing another file. This is just, I'm referencing the same file. I am that other file. Okay. So if I move my, I'm going to just to prove a point. This is random stuff I put in the file. So, okay, I didn't create a new file. It just opened the file for me. And if I do that move again for backup folder, my file, and I send to that very long blah, 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 and put my file there. I have to do this. And I try to open my other file again. It is still here because that other stuff didn't really matter. It's referencing the same amount of data, same thing. Okay, so you're gonna see a less user cases for hard links, but like I said, if you have the target file changing too much, or is expected to change, not in size, I'm talking about the metadata. It's going to change names, it's going to change paths, it's going to change ownership or anything like that. Is probably the best way to keep the link intact, to actually make it a hard link. But most of the applications you're gonna see is going to be a symbolic link, because things should not be moving that much in your system. It's a specific necessity. Okay, so big differences. You see that I just used files. I didn't create references to directories because hard links are not going to do that. Okay, just symbolic links. So I can create a new symbolic link for that folder. And actually, target first. Some very low path, but application config. Actually, I just want to buy some. Okay, and I want to be that. Let's put the trailing. That folder. So we got that folder here. You see that that file just got blue again? It's good again because I moved my file back to the original reference. Okay, and I can get inside that folder like is okay. And what I have here, I have the application config. So I can do again stat for that folder. This is that folder that references that very long path required by some. And let's get to that folder again. And pwd-p, the actual path, it's actually this guy. We're just way more. I use this all the time. I mean, using symlinks for directories, it's my jam. I need that because if you have, for example, external hard drive that you have mounted in your system, or if you have any other stuff and like that, and you want easy access, you're going to put a symbolic link in your home directory to access that instead of going so far into the I want to see the remote access that file, that folder, inside that folder, blah blah blah, or you just mounted a CD or a USB drive or external drive. You have to mount that into your system, and you have a big path file to get to the actual files that you want to see. Just create a symbolic link to that directory. It's going to work just fine. Okay. So I guess we got that. The main difference is that hard links are not going to be used for this. You cannot reference a directory. You cannot reference a file on a different disk. You cannot but one thing that is good, you can link to a file that is going to be moved or other inodes or locations in the disk, the same disk. So it's really more specific. Why is the symbolic link or soft links are so good for? Okay, it's a shortcut. It's the main definition of a shortcut. It's going to be a shortcut to anything that is inside your system, directories, files. It can be on a different hard disk. It can okay I can reference to it's going to reference just to abstract names. So like we did, if we change the name of my file, that file is not going to work anymore again because it's changing the path or changing the name or moving this to a different location. It loses completely this link. It's going to link to nowhere. Okay, so we got the links down. Same links and hard links. How are you guys feeling so far? Just taking a break to take some water. I'm talking too much. Splendid. Thanks, Mateus. So, you guys good with this? We're going to get to the repositories. Other ways to install things in your system. So now getting back to day 15, the actual start, or would be the start of this lesson. We already know how to install new packages, right? We know how to use apt, and we're still going to keep just working with apt. We're on Ubuntu. Ubuntu is based on Debian. Debian, all the Debian-based distros use apt as actually an interface for the dpkg package manager. So there is a few things that we already know how to use on apt. That is to update and upgrade. We already do that. Install, we already do that. But one thing that it came to mind, where does it take those packets, right? How do I know where to look and list the packets? Because if you look at apt list, going to see this. Yeah, there's a lot. But and we can see also. No. What was that again? Lost it. Installed. This is all that I have installed here. But how do I know what I have available to install from the actual repository? Where are this information? Where do I pick that up to install? Because if I install something like NeoFetch, it's simple, right? We just do an update before we do anything. Remember that. And when we do the update, we already have some information from apt on this. We see that we're taking from mirrors Linode Ubuntu, which is a repository specific for the Linode VPS. I'm using a Linode VM right now, so it's going to pick that up. And from that mirror, I'm using for Jammy. Jammy is the actual nickname for Ubuntu 2204, the LTS version that we're running right now. We have Jammy updates, we have Jammy backports, and we have Jammy security. That's a different mirror, but it's the same idea. Okay, so we got that. All right, we get 4 things that we can look at. Those are our sources. And this is just for what I use it for update. And why every time we want to install something, we should do a apt update first. Because we want to see if that package that we want to install is actually available and ready on the repository, right? So where do we get this information? We get that from I'm not going to change anything, so okay. etc apt sources list. So that guy that happens to show up when we did the update, we got mirrors Linode Ubuntu, and here Jammy updates, Jammy updates. And if you want to understand any upgrade notes, we have that. Da, 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 da. Jamie updates and Jamie security, Jamie backports and Jamie security. So everything that we just saw, we got from somewhere, and that somewhere was specified here. So this is um, the address for my repositories are this. At the moment, we're just getting through stuff that is from the distro itself. You see that is not really we have two types. We have the security ubuntu.com. This is a domain for Ubuntu specifically, and we have mirrorslinode.com. So we can change actually what we're going to have available in our repo. This is a repository made by Linode for their um, Ubuntu VMs. So I could change this to pull directly from the actual mirrors for Ubuntu directly. If you're in this challenge, if you're doing that with a local server, you just created a VM in your local network in your computer, just created on a VirtualBox or something. You're gonna see differently. You're not going to see Linode because it's not a Linode server. It is just your server. So it's going to be something like Ubuntu.com. That's what you're going to see. It's different from what we see from, for example, Linode. And you're going to see different repos in AWS VM. You're going to see different repos in Azure VM. This is going for every other cloud provider. They mostly have the control of the mirrors they use for repositories for those VMs they have running. So if you see, Linode is special in that way. I like that they have different kinds of distros available. They're not just the regular Ubuntu and uh, Ubuntu and Debian or Ubuntu. What other thing that is also pretty common? I've been seeing some Mint, but do I have Mint on AWS? Do you know? I don't remember seeing Mint there. I saw SUSE, OpenSUSE. I saw Red Hat. Um, but I know that Linode have for Arch Linux. They have for yes, they use RPMs, but I'm just talking about the having the actual repos inside the, the references. But yeah, I'm just saying that you're gonna see different things, and those those cloud providers are going to have their own repositories for those distributions. Okay, um, you're not going to see the same thing on your local server, on a server that you created locally. All right. What else here? So we just saw where the sources are listed, and for those sources, we have something like main and restricted. You see universe here as well. Those and multiverse. Let me just get this from actual lesson. This is quite nice. Get the repositories. The only one that is going to be really out of the picture most of the time are the restricted. repos. Ah, yes, sure. Shabby Spy. A standalone repo for a system not connected to the internet. You have to have that repo available to that server somewhere. It doesn't have to be on the internet. You can have that internally. You can have that as a different server inside your own local network, and this is not uncommon. Or you can have um, basically you're gonna have that some way to access that inside your own network. Okay, it's not something that is you don't have access to the internet, and that happens in some environments. They are restricted to access the internet. So you're going to have another server that have that access to pull stuff up from an actual uh, official repository, and you can actually manage your own repo the way you like. I worked in a couple of companies that did that. When we try to update our own servers, we have to reference actually something that was in the intranet, another server into the intranet to pull from those repositories that were internal. We could not have references to anything that was external, and that works the same way. As soon as you put in here, you have the, the information for the repo. It's going to work just fine. The same way you just use apt update, apt install the package that you want, and you're gold. It's going to work exactly the same way. The only difference, the source is not going to be external. That's the only difference. But if you don't have a way to update your package, not having access to an internet to pull those packets from somewhere is going to be difficult, of course. But in a enterprise scenario, I see that happen a lot. Uh, and they have their own packages that were exclusive for enterprise use. So that can also happen. That answer your question, I guess. So, where was the? Yeah, this guy. Let's put it here. This is an um, old reference, but it works the same way. Okay, when you want to put more stuff in, more sources into your sources list, you see that it was still for Saucy. That is a few versions back. This is actually in the course material. Okay, there's a reference there. You're going to use universe most of the time. Thanks, Shabby. You're going to use universe and main. Main is obviously, but the other ones is going to be universe and multiverse. This is actually Ubuntu uh, names for their package repos, because we have two steps here. We have to get to the actual source, the one that's going to serve us what we have available, and we're going to have um, a bunch of software, a bunch of packets that are going to be separated. Okay, this is main, this is the standard. You have to have those packets, and you're going to have extra stuff. There's going to be on like universe and multiverse repos, uh, things that are not really being updated the same way the main repos being updated, or things that are other they could be included in a version but could not be included in a different version. Um, but Ubuntu is quite different in a way that is there's a lot of packets available from a lot of stuff. So you're not going to be running into that much problem. You're gonna see a difference actually when you see the repositories for Debian. Because they do have quite a policy um, against packets that are not open source or are against open source. At least that used to happen a lot. I don't know if you guys have any current information on this. I don't believe Debian have changed that much in that matter. But what we call main for Ubuntu is like, let me see the packages. They have a list. They have these. Yeah. That was it. We have this table. We have some proposed updates. We have um, security and backports. We saw that on Debian as well, on Ubuntu as well. We you see we can see the updates, and backports and security. You see that security is not even something that Linode wants to take control over because they want it to be as soon as possible available to their VPSs. So it's going to reference directly the source from Ubuntu and go for security. Okay. Okay. All right. So taking a look here, we have the security backports, we have testing, unstable and experimental. The approach that Debian has on the package sources are more on that. What gets into the repositories, the source lists, goes through actually a triage process and extensive testing. So that's after. Let's see just what we have from. Yeah, that's the whole explanation on how that works. You see that this is for Debian specific, but it's the same idea. You're going to use Deb, okay? It's going to pull from that source. That is the server that I'm going to pull stuff from. I want stable, I want main, contrib, and non-free. Non-free is something that it really stands out as most of the other repos, other chunks of packets are going to be mainly free. They don't have that. They're not going to be non-open source. That non-free category this is just policy. I mean, for Red Hat, that changed entirely when they closed it. Not closed it because they are still open source, but they're a big company now. So things changed in their repositories in that matter. I mean, I'm just referencing a completely different distro that doesn't use this kind of. Is not the same source list, but the idea of putting something in your system that is going to, okay, I'm going to all right, this is the server where I can get my packets from. What packets do I have available that are from this category? This category is the main packets that I need in my system, or something that is extra that I could reference in a different way, or something that is non-free, or something that is restricted. I mean, this is going to vary from distro, and how they use the package manager. I mean, Ubuntu and Debian use the same package manager, apt dpkg. It's the same utility, but the sources are not the same. Okay, so getting that out of the way, we're just showing the sources for now. And one way that we can see, for example, what kind of packets we have available, we can do an apt dump, cache dump, apt cache dump, because we just updated. We have our cache already running here, things that are available to us, and we can do a dump, and it's going to be a lot. So instead of just scrolling, I can grab, remember grab? I can grab a package because I want this part here. I want this. Want to see this. Okay. It's a little bit better, but not that much better. I want to sort because I wanted, you see, there's not really in a sorted way. I wanted to sort that. Oh boy. Yeah, it's sorted, but still a lot. A little less. Let's use less so I can paginate that and look it up a little bit better to see. All right, so okay, we see the packets that we have in our cache dump. Oh, papa. Have Neo 3. Let's see, we have Neo Fetch. Yeah, we do have Neo Fetch here. I mean, I'm just looking around. This is one way to see what we have available, right? I have something that is specific for we already have multiverse, so we have a lot of software that is considered non-free. But if I don't want software that is not considered non-free, and do we have this? Yeah, multiverse. Let me get this little chin. This is really old stuff. True, I should update this. Hey. Yep. Was it? Dun, dun. Here's the information that I want to show you guys. Main is the Canonical, that is the company that maintains Ubuntu. Is Canonical supported free and open source software. Universe is the community maintained free open source software. So they have the same idea. They're maintained by different people. We have the restricted that are just proprietary drivers. That is restricted for that. And multiverse is the software restricted by copyright or legal issues or non-free. So we already have main, universe, and multiverse available. Do we have anything interesting in restricted? We could put the restricted here. But I don't know. I don't know if I wanted to put there. Okay. And responding to you, Shabby Spy, the difference in the source list, you're going to put something, you can put even a CD-ROM or other kind of valid target in your own local network. Or it could just be something in your server. I mean, if you're going to use a physical server, that is going to be possible, right? You're going to have that available. You can put that. Wow, NFS and SMB. I mean, you have other file systems that are available to your server. If you have that reference inside, you can put that there. All right. And you see, if it's a binary, you're going to put gonna put binaries. You're going to start with deb. If the formats of the packets are source, I mean, they're not .deb packets. There are other kinds of packets, and we're going to build something from the source in a minute. You just put src. Okay, so complementing the response to Shabby Spy, you're going to put that in your source lists. The difference is the referencing, how you're going to get there. And you can do that for cdemo. You have FTP. That could be something inside your own network. It's not connected to the internet. And other file the file systems that you have your server connected also locally. You don't have to be connected to the internet to this work. Okay. I hope that clarifies a little bit more on how you can use a standalone repo for your local server. Okay. So let's okay. So getting back here, should we add something to our source lists? What do you guys think? I already have restricted. It's not going to make any difference. For bug fixes, I have to change restricted out of this, but I can change. If I don't want to pick up software that is non-free, I could just take these guys out. I mean, I can come here and instead I can comment this line and comment this line for multiverse, those two multiverses. And obviously I can also take that out of the other ones for the back parts, but I don't see really universe. And for security, well, if you're not installing, we do not need security for that as well. Let's try to do that. Let's see. Multiverse. We can do that. What else we have multiverse here? Am I going to break something? I believe not. So we can then try it again. Let's do some sudo apt update. Okay. So now if I want to see the packets that are available to me, let me see if I can make much of a difference here. I should have got that on an account, right? I forgot to do that. Let's do that. Let's count how many packets I have available. Okay, 101,000, almost 102, and can get back our sources. Let's get those things back. Uh, for Red Hat, Shabby, we are during the challenge. We are trying to use exclusively Ubuntu because it's already a lot of stuff to learn from that particular part, specifically in this package management stuff. If I'm going to do for Red Hat, it's going to be a whole different lesson, and it's going to be just a lot. I mean, the challenge today still doesn't contemplate Red Hat and other Red Hat based distros. We're just working with Ubuntu right now. But it's something that is being suggested for the future to put on the source material. And I don't have any Red Hat servers spun up yet, so that will really take some time to get to that for you. Sorry, but I know some good um, good resources for that in YouTube actually. Let me just get that for you. It's fan Van Voot. Zander Van Voot. This guy is the guy for Red Hat certifications and all things Red Hat. I really enjoyed his videos on the topic. He really get uh, those things. Which one? Raven Foot. And there's another guy. What is his name? He does a bunch of labs. Click on my library. Just get that to you because I'm sorry I cannot really go through with that for you, but I'm not going to let you go empty-handed. Okay, Eddie Jennings. This guy is his channel is only or mostly Red Hat um, Red Hat Labs. It's all Red Hat Labs. It's amazing. I mean, he goes the same way that I'm doing right now. I mean, going through the command line and you do this and you do that, and it's all of the topics, and you're gonna see how to deal with repos there as well. Okay, they both have specific series for Red Hat certification, the RHCSA. So you have a lot of stuff there. You're gonna be pleased with their videos. They're enjoyable as well. Okay. All right. So we got things back here, right? Let's put that. And we go input multiverse. That back. Let's update again. Ooh, you see the difference? We just got that out, and then, all right, I'm looking at it. Good. And when we got back in, you see that they added the repos here, the multiverse repos that were out. We just put that back in. Let's see if we have any changes on the packets for cache. Yeah, we got a difference. We have 100 and almost 2,000 packets available, and now we have 103,000 packets available. So we got a difference in the amount of packets that we have available to install or update in our system. Good. All right. Just wanted to go through that before we really change things up, because here this is just the official main repositories. But if I want to put something that is not on any of those repositories, how do I do that? For example, I can, because I know there are available, I can just sudo apt install neofetch, right? So if I take a look of neofetch and I take what is the version? The version that I'm running is neofetch 710. I'm using neofetch because this is a pretty simple program. And it really doesn't take much in terms of security or anything like that to install. So it's going to be seamlessly. How can we see the difference? But let's say that I want something that is on a different version of that. So let me just get this guy here. We can check for something that is that we call personal package archives, the PPAs. This is ugly, and Ubuntu really doesn't need that for many of the stuff that you want to install. If you want something that is up to date, it's not really gonna matter. Let me show this repo. Come on. I know he's here. Okay, I found it, and now I cannot do the same thing back. But the lists are really not good. You're going to see, I wanted that version of that specific thing, and it's going to happen to be available in a website somewhere. Someone saying, "Okay, I have a PPA for that," and all right, if you have a PPA for that, nice. Sometimes those PPAs are for older versions of specific programs. And one thing that I do use in production in my daily life for Postgres, I'm not going to go into Postgres. It's going to require a little bit more to get to that. But if I want a older version, a really older version, so it would match with an application that I'm using that really requires an old version of Postgres, I can get that through a PPA, not really from the current repos for Postgres. So that is one application that really happens in real life, right? So let me get that. And I want to add a different package or different repository to my source instead of going to the source list and add that manually. Like, we could do that. I mean, you saw that we just went into the source list and did stuff manually there. It's not really recommended. It's not the best way to do it. You could typo a lot of stuff and really mess it up. So what I did was really simple and didn't really require that I got a backup in place. But if you're going to mess up with your repositories, with your source list, please make a backup before you do your experiment. I mean, take a backup, copy that file into another place, have that ready to go when you mess all your sources, and you can just restore that. Because the best way is to use a program called add apt repository, and we can, let's see if I have that. Add apt repository. Yeah, add apt repository. We can add a new apt repository. This is specific for apt. It's not going to work in anything that is not apt, okay? We can remove a repository. We can update the cache after adding the repository. And we can allow all source packages to be downloaded from the repository. Ugh. Know what you're doing when you did this, okay? But what we're gonna use is this. I have that already. This is on the source material, okay? I'm not really creating this out of the blue. Sudo add apt repository, and I'm going to add this PPA. I found it. I don't know how I found it, but I found that. Okay, Ubuntu sway -dev, and it's going to say, okay, I'm going to add this line to that sources list. You see, it's the same way, but you see that is a different target. We don't have something Ubuntu something or Linode something. We have PPA Launchpad content. That is the site that we're just on. And this repository and this folder, and this is the user, then this folder and things that we have there. And it's going for Jammy, and we're going to because we're using Jammy, and it's going to main. All right, so more info. This is okay. That's why I didn't find it. All right, let's put it here so we can see. Yeah. Okay. This is the guy. You see, this is personal, right? When we talk about PPAs, they are personal packages. Okay. They could be just a version of a package. Could be something that was remixed. I mean, there were some changes made by the person. It's not the best in security. Okay, you have to trust what you're doing. And sometimes it's not as trustworthy as you like. So that's why there's not many. There was a time that was there were more PPAs available. I feel that in going through the years, that really stopped happening. They're not as relevant as they were before, because the main supported repos are much bigger now. They really have a lot of the packets that you want, so there's no need for PPAs anymore. But you see that we have this guy, and one of the packets that they have available is NeoFetch. You see they have different. It's still 171. Okay, we have for Jammy. That's good. But we can use that. Okay, enter. You see that when we add it, it just put it in here. Get these guys, and then we can just use sudo apt update, and it's going to add that PPA content here. I know this is a bad example. I'm aware of that, but if you're going to install on your local computer or anything like that, like um, I have for my regular computer, for example, repositories for VMware and other non-free stuff. They have their own packages. They have their own repos. So you're going to see this at some point when you're managing a Linux server. Sometimes you like Shabby Spy mentioned, if I'm not aware, I'm not available, I'm not allowed to go to the internet. How can I still keep some packets available for my server? You're going to have to do that differently, and it's going to be in a different source for your APT. Okay, so let's see. If we try to get, what is our version, 7.1? Yeah, I don't believe I'm going to get a different version for that, fortunately. Get this back here. Remember that we're using apt cache to show all of our packets that were available. Let's see apt cache, and I'm going to show only neofetch instead of showing that entire list. I'm going to show only neofetch, and I have neofetch from Universe Ubuntu, and I have neofetch from our Ubuntu Sway, and they are on slightly different versions. This is 710-3. Eh, not the best. Not the best. Not the... Well, but we have both versions available. If you wanted something that it was a completely different version, or saying I don't have neofetch, this is obviously it's not going to happen. But if I want a package that is not available on one of the official repos, but I have that on a PPA, is that a way to have that available? Okay, so I just wanted to point out that it is possible, and you're going to see that even if it's on a different version. Sometimes you have different ways to get the same package. Okay, so this was to complement the day 4 when we started using APT. We learned a few bits of um, the inner workings of APT and where does it take the stuff from. But one thing that is not going to be on a package manager, on a official repository, going to be stuff that can you're gonna find it on GitHub, or it's just a package that was not made for any particular distro, or you want that program, you want that package, but it was made only for example, I'm Ubuntu. It was made only for Red Hat, Fedora, or RPM based distros. We have a RPM package, but we don't have a deb package. Or in reverse, you only have deb packages, or something that's for Debian Ubuntu based it, but don't have for Fedora, CentOS, or Red Hat. Or you're using a completely different distro that doesn't really have a package manager like that. It doesn't use deb or RPM. How are you going to install a specific program that you want? You can do that by building from the source. And that is the point. Let me see what was the one that I took. It was nmap. So let's say that I wanted to install what was the Mateus? I believe I remember. What is the program that we built last time we did the build from the source lesson? You remember that? I know that I have it somewhere. I wanted to use nmap, but I want to use something different. It's Git, maybe. Let's see if I have it here. I think it was Git. Yeah, let's do Git. I don't really want to use nmap. I'm sorry. Okay, let's do Git then. No, just Git, not GitHub. Okay, Git. So, if you guys know Git, thanks for that, Mateus. If you guys know Git, you can version control. You're going to use that at some point in your life, but I'm not going to go into what Git really does. I'm going to just install the package or install the actual program for Git into my server. Isn't Git available for Debian or for Ubuntu? Of course it is, but there's not the point. We want let's see something. I want the tarballs. Woo. And that is the point when remember that we're just talking about compressed files and archived files. That was just a few minutes ago. If we want to, wow, this is I can install any of the versions for Git. Wow. No, this is the docs. These are the docs. No. Just Git. Okay. I want this guy, maybe. Or this guy. Same thing. You see that we have even two different compression methods being used here. Actually, three. I didn't use assign before. But I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to copy that link address for this. And I'm going to do I have that? Yes, I do. I'm going to copy this guy. You see, I'm copying directly that source file. That is actually an archive file with the source that we're going to we are going to build. And okay, got it. Now we have here Git 2.9.5. So this is a GZ as a gzip, so we can use tar extract. Gzip is going to be with extract, doesn't have to change much. A verbose file Git. Okay, we just created a folder for that. We extracted everything. We exploded the tarball. Not compression sign. What is that then? A legitimate legitimate confused now. What is sign? Like an no, it's not like an executable or anything. Is it? Okay, I'm going to search that later. All right. Getting back. Um, so we just exploded the tarball, and now we can, and that's why we just learned about compression and archiving, so we can see that in place. And now we can go into that folder, and let's take a look at the folder. What do we have here? Yeah, a lot of stuff. And you can see that we have a lot of code. See, most of this are C or H. This is for libs, for libraries in C. We have a few Perl scripts here. We have templates. And this is one thing that really makes Linux special, I think, because it is open source. It is what it doesn't mean being open source. It means that when I download the package, when I download that program that I want to use, I can just, for example, take one of the points of the source code here, and I can see how it was done. I mean, if I want to really study programming and understanding how other people is doing that to work, it's here. This is the source code. So if you are interested in really getting to programming, understanding how it goes, and this is a great opportunity. You have all of the information that you want here. How does that program does that stuff? It's going to be written somewhere, and the source code is available. So when you download the tarball or the archived pro, little file that we got, mostly compressed, that is available as source code for build, is different from the package. The package is already okay. This is the information, all the metadata that the package manager needs to install that into your system. That's why we have packets that are different from each distro, because or for each package manager, because they have specific metadata for that uh, that utility, that package manager. So that is the main difference of installing using your package manager or installing using the source. You're going to see that package managers are going to be easy or easier to deal with, because the actual utility apt is going to do most of the heavy lifting for you. And when I say heavy lifting, we're gonna have lift some stuff now, so you can see the difference. We have to actually compile and transform all of this code that is now just text that I can read. Although it's difficult to read, is still something that is readable for humans. And I'm going to transform that into a binary or something that a computer can understand and do stuff. So the build or the compilation of the source code, is that what we're going to do now? And we need tools to do that. So instead of just going straight up to compiling this, I need to make sure that I have the build essentials or my toolbox to actually convert this into something that a computer will understand. So I'm still going to use apt for that. So install, and the package that I want is build essentials or build essential. Okay, you see that what we're going to be installing is CPP, CPP11, dpkg dev, a lot of uh, dev related utilities. This is my toolbox now. So we have some things to deal with libraries, and we have make and main pages, and blah, blah. And specifically the CPP is the C compiler. One of the C compilers, we have GCC is a GNU C compiler, and it's going to be the actual utility that is going to transform that code into something that is a binary. All right, so I'm going to install that. And you see that using a package manager, I don't have to think about this because the package already is built. The package.deb or .rpm or whatever is already compiled for specifics. But that's not what we're doing here. We're doing some heavy lifting now. Okay? So first thing, you got your new program, you exploded your tarball, you have this available to you. Before you do anything else, there is one file you have to read. And guess what? The name is readme. So let's read the readme. Okay, it gives me some information of what is the program I'm installing here. Some details of documentation, and we have tutorial and how to install. We're going to have to look for install on that. Do we have an option? We have an install. So let's look at the install instructions. Install git installation. Normally you can just do make and make install, and that will install the git programs on your own home-bin directory. If you want to do a global install, you can do this with the prefix or this. So we have already a little sip of what we could do here. And obviously you're going to be as impatient as I am and going to go directly to the part, okay, what should I do? You can autoconf generated config script. So we're going to config stuff first. So make configure as yourself, configure prefix as yourself, make all doc or make install doc, install HTML. This is for the documentation, right? Yeah. We have a lot of different ways to do the same stuff, but the first line gives us the idea. We can just make and make install, and we're fine. Okay. What do they mean by that? We have a configure that is a script to configure what we're going to build. And we do have yeah, let's configure then. So let's take a look at configure first. this is the script that we can execute to begin our build, our installation. Okay, this is in So we're going to first run this to configure our new install. Why I'm using a dash dot slash and then the name of the file. This is the same as using, because I'm using bash, as execute that executable that is inside this directory here. Dot slash is the current directory. So let's do the checkings and see if there's anything missing. Okay, we have all checked. We created our config and we can make now. So let's make. And we have a photo error because something is missing. All right. There is a lib. Credential store error 1. So we don't have zlib. Okay, so we have, here comes the heavy lifting. So apt search. Okay, we have compression library. Oh yes, apt file, zlib, apt file, search. Okay, where do we have zlib h? This is the guy that we're looking for. Okay, zlib h should be available in zlib1g dev. So let's put that requirement. Let's install that requirement and try to make again. See, this is the kind of things you don't have to do if you install directly using a package or a package manager. We're building the program directly onto our machine. So we're compiling everything, all of the requirements and the things that are being called inside that source code. We have to find and put it in here, available for the actual compilation goes through. So that is what it's doing right now. It's generating some new files, and you see that this is part of the compiling process. We're creating object files from those source code files, and depending of the complexity and the size of your of the program you want to install, this is going to take a while. Okay, so we have a few errors. Messaging. Message FMT. Okay. I can use apt file search. What is the package that has that file? That guy that we're looking for? This? This. I know which one is this. Okay, okay. apt install. This is for the docs, the documentation. Go on. Try it again. If it's already done, it's going to be a lot faster. So we're just getting, okay, no errors, no. All right, so we get make that was built, and now we're going to install. Make install. Whew. Okay, I have a permission problem. Yeah, as root. Forgot about that. Are we done? Means that we're done. Yeah. Okay, we have some last minute instructions. Oh, we got some curls. But do we have Git? We do. So all this trouble that we got through here. Okay, we downloaded the source file, we expanded the tarball. Then we make sure that we have all the requirements for the installation to go through. That means we have the right tools, the build essentials, and anything that the actual source code required. I mean, the zlib was one of them, and I have to install something that was it was not called zlib, it was just a file inside another package. So apt file is a good way to search for files inside packages. I want that file, so I'm going to search what package do I have to install to have that file available. And we make install, and we have that available now, so we can use Git. See, I got the version 295, and we can install any version as soon as I have the available. I can build that, and I'm going to. This can change from install to install depending of what requirements you have or don't have already on your system. So this is day 17 for you guys. We got through checking the repos and adding PPAs. We learned about tar and compression methods and how to archive files or expand tarballs. We used that to install another program from the source, and we're going to see that this guy is also where is Git located. It already put that on user local bin Git for me. So this is one of the things that make install script is going to do. So it's going to pick that up and make it available through the entire system. That's why the last part I have to use it executed as root, so I could have that available for the entire system. What else? We make install. We already took a look at the log rotation. we learned how to check the logs and created hard links and soft links. Learn a little bit about iNodes. So what is next? We got through the day 19. The last thing would be scripting. Let me just say that only scripting could be an entire course. It is enough stuff for an entire course. Another 20 days of that. Yeah, Mateus confirmed. It is something that is it seems like a lot, and it is a lot, but you can also understand that bash scripting or scripting in general, we've already been doing that through the course. I mean, especially when we got through grep and other command line tools, we already got one liners. Because if I want to get uh, for example, I want to grep, and I'm going to use grep dash I because I don't want to case insensitive. I want to see, and I don't need to put it on brackets. Okay, on var log auth log, and of course I have to do that with sudo. This is already one liner. Okay, so this is a piece of information that I got from my system. Okay, so I check it out, everything that was that had root on it, and from that file, and just vomit that on the screen. But one of the things that we have on the challenge, and is the last challenge, we already been building up for that. Let me just take a look. What was the message that I wanted to get to disconnect from? Or yeah, I'm going to get on the message. I'm going to change that for disconnected from. Okay, so I want just that, right? Okay. And I'm doing that as sudo, so it's going to show it that way as well. No. But not everyone is me here. I can confirm I don't have that many IP addresses. So other people are trying to get to my server with root, and if we just get not only root, what else? Let's use fail authentication instead. What do you guys think? Authenticate something. I don't have that. Let me take a look. What I want from that. Let's try log out. Receive disconnect. Invalid use. Wow. GG. Antoine. Okay. Nadios. Telecom admin. I'm going with that. Invalid user. I like that. I want to see how many invalid users we're going to see there. So I'm changing my one-liner. I want to see all the invalid users. Police. All right. Okay. Ethan. Ubuntu. I don't have an Ubuntu here, man. Sorry to disappoint you. Bob, my user. Deploy. Vladimir. Abhishek. Omar. Anna. There's some different names. Okay, QQ. All right, all right, all right. So we're going to get the list of these weird, invalid usernames. Okay, so we got this, and I wanted to see. Let's filter that. I don't want to see the entire line for that. And instead of using case insensitive, I want exactly how it is written. So it's going to, okay, right? Going to get just that. Much better. Fair vision. Blake. Admin is going to show up quite a lot. I'm so sure of that. All right, so let's filter that using the tools that I already know. So we're redirecting our output using a pipe, and we are going to cut. Can we cut that? What do you guys think? Let's cut, and I'm going to use a space as a delimitator. And which field do I want? I have, this is going to be space, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I want just a name, so I want field 8. Okay, we got just the names. But it's not sorted. So let's sort that out. Let's use a sort. Okay. User. Yum, yum, yum. We can sort that out. We can just put unique here. But with that, we don't have one thing that I want to see. That is how many times is going to show one user in a specific. What are my top users, invalid users? Let's see what sort can give us. Sort can give a unique, but it's not going to count those uniques. So we can just use actually unique. Remember unique? Right. So we can sort something and put on unique, and we can count the occurrences. Okay, so let's try that out. So instead of sort u, going to use sort unique, and we have to sort before you use unique because unique only works with sorted lines. Okay, count. All right, we have a count. Zookeeper 3 times. Okay, all right. But I want to let's sort that out again, but I want it to be numbered. Okay, the most used was admin. We have user, Ubuntu, Postgres. We have, okay, this doesn't really. Oracle, FTP user. Student 3 times, 4 times. What is this? Okay, student 3. Pi, FTP deployer, G guest. Okay, Snake. Nice. Praveen. Network. I like that they think I'm police 3 times. Administrator. Um. Okay, I'm just getting distracted. But I want that in reverse order. So R. So I'm going to see. Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4. Really? You think I'm stupid, man? It's not even a valid username. Doesn't it cannot start with a number. All right. And okay, we have that. We can then. I want to see just the top 3. So the top 3 are admin, your best friend, and user. So we got a 1 line of that, but we could just do that uh, in a script instead of copying all of this again. So let's get that. And let's create valid users. And I don't need to put an extension for a script like this is a script, it's a shell script. It does have the extension .sh. It doesn't need to have an extension to work as a script. There's other stuff that we're gonna do that's going to transform this in from a simple text file into a script. Okay, so let's copy that line here. So far, doesn't really do much, and in the beginning, let's just give it some space. And to call this actual script, have to give the information that this is going to be executed at some point by a shell. So I'm going to use the shebang. And let me just get one little thing. This is like a shebang. And are going to get the /bin/bash. I want bash to execute this later. Okay. So I'm just gonna save this, and you're gonna see that so far nothing has changed for my invalid users. But since I put that information, it sees that I'm a born again shell script. Born again shell is the bash. So it's not executable yet. Because if I go, is it executable yet? Let's try that. Valid users. No. Because I used a sudo there. You see, it doesn't really execute. Because what are the permissions for my file? Do I have execution permissions? I do not. How do I give execution permissions for this file? I can just change mod. And I'm going to add execution for invalid users. And now it's unexecutable. So I can try that again. And it works. You see that same line, instead of putting that whole line into my command line, I can just put inside a script and execute that. To execute a script, again, it does have to have that born again shell indication or the shell indication. I'm just using bash because I'm using, my shell is bash. But I could use just /bin/sh for regular shell or any other shell for that matter. why we have to specify uh, is going to vary. There's few differences, just slight differences between the shells and the capabilities they have between them. But for a very simple shell script, you're not going to see any difference. Okay, it really does really depend on uh, what you're working on. But for this case, it's not going to matter at all. Okay, so we got a shell script. It's done. So it's don't need to do anything, right? Or can we improve that? Let's improve that then. So getting back to our invalid users. Okay, so we got this. And we can actually put more stuff in here. If I use, you see that I use a hashtag or a hash or whatever the name of this is. Any line that starts with this is going to be a comment. Okay, so I can put a lot of information about my script here, and we saw that on the configure script for when we built Git. Saw that there. That was information, just text information in the beginning of the script. And that is information is interesting. So list invalid users attempt. Okay, this is something that we can put here. And we can also echo some stuff. I mean, you can put stuff on the screen. So I can going to do, is it going to be echo or print? I believe echo is going to be just fine. And I don't believe this is going to be, let me put, let's break a line. Let's see how it goes. Now, you already break the line. It doesn't really require me. Ah, yes, yes. So, we just added some text with an echo in the beginning and just executed that one-liner of ours. So, what else we can do here? Actually, take this out. And we can work with variables. So none of them are user. You guys remember the environmental variables, everything that we have on our bash? You see, none of them are Livia. I just used user. I just referenced user. That is me. The same way that I can echo other stuff. Remember the PWD. I can. Those are all variables, and we can use that in our favor here. We can create new variables for the actual execution of that script. So let's get back and add some more stuff. So instead of this being that long, it's not really that long, but we can just, instead of that, we can create a variable called file. I have to put it. Yeah. Did I remember that right? Yeah. File, and I'm going to put the actual path here. And instead of using that in here, I can just reference file. right? So works the same way. Nothing changed. Instead, people are still trying. But okay. All right. What else we can take from here? We can change the actual message we're looking for. So message is going to be invalid user. And instead we put it in here. No, I don't remember. Do I use the double quotes? I do. I do use the double quotes. MS, yeah, message. Let's see, it works. So instead of getting that really long one-liner, we're just taking pieces and putting into variables. Okay, so train it again. All right, it works the same way. It's still working. What else can we take from here? We can, instead of head 3, now I'm going to, yeah, we can change that. I'm going to use yeah, I know I need correction. What about? I don't really want to do that. Yeah, I'm going to change the end. It's not going to work that way. And we can put it here. That top is 3. Let's see. Still working. So we're taking bits and pieces from what was first just a one-liner, and see that using that one-liner, we have access to many any other tools that we have available here. And now we just took pieces and pieces, transformed that into pieces that we can put on a variable, and it's still working. But let's see, I'm using top 3, but if I want something different, if I want top 5 or top 10, I can change that, giving some parameters when I execute my script. And how do I do that? I can actually, instead of using a variable, I'm going to leave it at that. We can change this for my first parameter that I enter to this script. So I'm going to do one test. I can't just execute it. It's going to give me an error. If I, okay, well, what are the number of lines? Did I get it right, Mateus? Is it gonna work if I did this? It is. What I did here, that little point, that instead of using a hard-coded number for the variable top, that's going to be, okay, my top 3. I want a top 3. I want actually a top 5. Or I want a top 10. I'm giving space for my script to read other parameters that I send to them. So the $1 actually means the first parameter that I input into this. Just after I'm executing the script, if it expects something to come after, it's going to give an error. So I'm using actually the first parameter, that is the number that we need for the head to get the top whatever, top 3, top 5, top how many we want. So that was the first piece of really scripting that we're really doing. But you see that if I don't give a parameter, it's going to give me a weird error for head. It's going to give me an error for head right away. If I have to change that, right? I have to catch that exception somehow. So instead of this, we can start using some conditionals. So if it doesn't exist, this is the parameter for that. And that's where it starts to get complicated. But if you don't have to use conditionals now if you don't want to. You see, they already have. The leading. I know this is so annoying. Oh yes, well reminded. We can use shell check instead of me doing stuff that are going to get me in trouble. I can just spell check. So I can try stuff here, and it's going to test my script. So what I want to do, let me get back. So if I wanted to do, for example, this is if it doesn't exist or it's empty, my first parameter, and yes, I do need this deleting space, and I need to put some double quotes. If that, then you see that already understands that it needs some. Then we're going to echo if it doesn't exist. Yeah, if it doesn't exist, echo. We're gonna echo. I'm going to use E to execute some stuff. Usage. We're going to use 0, and that is what is then the $1 is the first parameter, but $0 is the actual executable that we're using, the actual file. So this is going to be is and a number. That is the usage we expect, right? So if that happens, actually, let me just trail it out. And we're going to exit. I put it right? Yeah, I'm going to exit this. So is the execution just stop. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm not going to let it go to head and have an error because I need a parameter to exist, that first parameter to exist. So instead of executing this whole line, and I could just be putting a lot of our stuff here and getting to that last part and it's going to fail. So I'm going to put some stuff that are going to prevent that. And I close that with a v, that is if backwards. And let's see if that will work, because I have a feeling that I'm missing uh, some punctuation. So let's. Oh, we have an error. Let me just get this bigger. Tips depend. Target shell. What is my error? What is the shell that I'm using? Ah. Ah, yes. You have to put it all. Um. Okay, no issues detected. Alright, so it's going to work. Let's copy the entire script. Let's see if it would work with everything that we just put in here. So I guess no issues. Yeah, no issues detected. So it's gonna run. Let's see. So invalid users with a number works. Without a number, it gives me that usage message. It doesn't really execute anything else. Nice. So, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Okay. I just showed up just a little bit of stuff that you can do with the bash script. This is by far the most simplest thing. You get one liner that we're already using in your system, like something with grep and have a bunch of other filters that you're putting in there. Just separate that in parts and put it on the script, and you can start going crazy on it. Use a shell check to know if you got your script right. And let me just share that with everyone. Um, but that's it, guys. That's the end of the challenge, because everything that's going to go from here is going to add up to what we already learned. The script is nothing more than just what we already use in the command line, actually in automated form. And if I want that script to be run in regular intervals, I can put that script to run on Chrome. I can see the logs from that script later and on the journal and all that. So you see that this is just the beginning. And you have your server running, you're managing it. So anything that goes from here, you already have the tools to check for help and what you're going to do next. So this is my little nugget for you. Um, and this is the end of May with uh, with the Linux Upskill challenge. So you're still welcome to go to the subreddit and submit your ideas or your questions to each lesson. Discord is already here, available for you guys to have a chat. We have several channels there, and thank God I'm not the only person there, because I'm really bad at responding. And don't forget to get back to the YouTube to see the recordings from May. We have all of these live sessions from these last couple Sundays. They are available there for your reference. And and anytime that I get back to streaming, they're going to be on Twitch. And thanks so much. Thanks, Mateus. Thanks, Eplar. This is cool. I know it's so cool, right? But another successful interaction. Thanks to you, Mateus, as well. And if you guys are inclined to follow in Twitch or follow or subscribe in YouTube, be my guest. You guys are free to know when I'm going to post anything new. But there's no pressure. The guys are here on Discord, on Reddit, and we have a lot of channels available if you want to just chat or exchange ideas. If you have anything to correct on the course material, please let me know. Um, there's also we're also open to submissions for pull requests or issues on the GitHub. There's where we keep the actual source material. And I really appreciate you guys being here with me this month. We're not going to do that during June, but I'll let you guys know when we're going to get back to this in July. Okay, so stay tuned. Keep Linuxing. You have your server, and if you subscribe for one of Linode or DigitalOcean um, promotions, that $100 for 2 months, you still have time to use your server for free. And even if you don't have, it's going to be pretty cheap. I mean, $5 a month or something like that. So if that's important to you, you want to keep going with that server or doing something local, please keep doing that. We have a lot of information, and see you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining. Bye bye.